Julie Fei-Fan Balzer, and a lot of times in these videos I show you how to make one of something. But a question I get over and over is, okay, well I actually want to make 20 of those, or I want to make 10 of them for a party or something like that. So I'm going to show you some strategies today that really help you when you're making multiples of something. So the first thing is, let's go ahead and pick our project. I'm going to grab my tablet and I'm going to pick something from ScannCut Canvas. I'm scrolling through the built-in designs in ScannCut Canvas. Once I have found what it is that I'm looking for, which is right here, this folded animal ornament, I'm going to use that as place cards. I simply click on the project. It is going to show me a picture of the finished project. It's going to give me a recipe so that I can find out how to put it together, and it's going to give me all the parts. And if there's a little arrow, then you can click and you can see that there are more parts. So this is going to make a small horse, a big horse, and the guy. But I want to modify it to suit me. I only want the big horse file and the little saddle. I don't want the men and I don't want the little horse. So let me show you what I've actually done to modify it. And by the way, if you wanted to modify it, all you would do is click on the edit file and it would bring it right into ScannCut Canvas for you to edit. So now I am going to go back to ScannCut Canvas and I am going to go to My Projects. And saved into My Projects, you can see what I did is I took the horse and I was able to get as many as possible onto one page, which is 4 of them. And then the modification that I did, let me just show you this a little bit closer on the saddle, is I know I have 8 people coming to my party. So what I did is I put out 8 saddles, and then additionally from the built-in shapes and the built-in fonts, I simply added the shapes I wanted, and then I added their names. You can see that right there, so that I can now put each of the names on. I set the outside to cutting and the inside to drawing lines. And if you're curious about how to do any of that, I have a great video on setting drawing and cutting lines. Once this is all set, I can go ahead and download it and I can send it on over to my ScannCut. When I'm working on a project with multiples, I like to make sure to gather all of my supplies before I start so that everything goes as quickly and easily as possible. So the first thing, which I think is really important, is I'm cutting everything out of paper. And what I've done is I've chosen some papers that are all the same weight. This ensures that I don't have to adjust my blade settings once I've gotten the perfect blade setting. And one of the easy ways to make sure that all of your papers are the same weight is to use a paper stack, because obviously everything in the stack is the same manufacturer and the same weight. The other thing that's really good to do is to have 2 mats that are the same. So I'm working with 2 standard mats here, and they're both a little bit used, so I know they're at the same level of stickiness. And that means that I can be working on peeling stuff off one while one is in the machine cutting. The other thing, of course, is I have out a pen and a pen holder. I have my spatula and my hook tool so that I know that everything is ready to go and I am ready to start making. So let's go ahead and get some paper onto our mats so we can get going with this project. So we're going to start with drawing. I've loaded the paper in, and the paper that I'm using is double-sided, so you can see that I've put the white side up. I'm going to go ahead and grab my pen holder, push the little button at the back, take the cap off the pen, drop it into the holder, place the cap into the divot at the top. I'm going to remove the blade by pushing up, pulling out, dropping the pen holder in, always with the Brother logo facing the front, lock that into place, and this is ready to draw. So now from the home screen, I'm going to choose Pattern and then the wireless button. It's going to retrieve the file that we just sent over. You can see it there. I have a little divot out of my paper, so I want to make sure to move some of these over. And then I'm going to go into the editing section, and I want to turn all of my text files into fill patterns. So I'm simply going to select it and then choose fill. And I'm going to do this, just go right down the line, selecting each and creating a fill pattern. So let me just set all of these to fill patterns. If you'd like to learn more about fill patterns, you can check out my video about fill patterns. So once I've made them all fill patterns, I'm going to say okay, okay. And when I hit draw, look at what happens to all of the files. Only the names are still there. So now I can go into the fill patterns by going to the settings, and I can choose which pattern I want. I want to do the one where it completely fills it. So I'm going to say okay, okay again. We're going to say draw and press the start button. Now that it's done drawing, I'm going to remove the pen and I'm going to place the blade in. Then on the screen, I'm gonna hit OK and then choose cut, and you'll notice that all of my text disappears and all that's left is the parts that are cutting. So I've already done a test cut, so now I'm just simply gonna press start and we're off to the races. So this is where efficiency really comes into play. While I'm taking the pieces off of this mat that just cut, my second mat has a piece of paper already loaded onto it, and I'm gonna get that cutting with the horse file, and I'll just keep trading out the mats, and so I can work on one while the other one's cutting. So let's get started. So I'm just gonna unload this and get that horse file, and we'll get going. I finished all of my cutting, and you can see that I was using my time really efficiently. So I have all my horses, but in that time while it was cutting, I also managed to take all the saddles and fold them right along the perforation lines. I also managed to put a piece of foam adhesive on the back of every single one of these little name pieces. So now I've got my adhesive, it's time to start gluing everything together. So here's how we do it. You take two horses, and I like to use two horses that are the same on, this side, and they have to each be facing a different way. So you're gonna lay one down, and you can use any adhesive, wet, dry. I'm just using a quick, dry, wet adhesive, and I'm gonna put a little bit out only in the head area. That's really important. It can only be in the head area. And then I'm gonna put the second matching one on top so that it perfectly kisses together, and I'm going to leave that to sit for just a moment so that it has time to bond. Now I have one here which has had a moment to bond, and you can see that it is only attached at the head. So this is where the saddle comes in. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that same adhesive onto not the top of the saddle, but just the sides of the saddle where it's going to touch the horse. Then I'm going to carefully, without getting my fingers in the glue, which may be the hardest part of this, I'm going to place one side right against there, the other side against the other side of the horse. Let's see if I can turn this around so you can see it a little bit better. Just like that. And you can see how the saddle keeps the back side of the horse open, which is exactly what you want. So I'm going to pinch with my fingers just a minute to let that catch. And once it has caught, the horse should stand up by itself. You can peel the foam adhesive off of the back here, and you can place that anywhere that you want on the horse. Oops, that's a little crooked. Let's adjust it. Just like that. And you can see you have your beautiful place card. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other 7 of these done just this way. In no time at all, I've got a herd of horse place cards that are ready for use. I hope you enjoyed some of the tips that I gave you today on making multiples. Remember, planning goes a long way when you're trying to make a lot of a simple project. So for more tips, tricks, and tutorials, be sure to visit my blog at balzerdesigns.typepad.com, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and of course, don't forget about the ScannCut website at scannandcut.com.